Xi Jinping is still appearing on the world stage, but no longer calling the shots behind it. Some sources told me that the CCP's leader has already lost the real power, and what we are watching now is just political theater. Welcome to China Decoded. I'm Aric Chen. Today, we explore a question that could shake the core of global politics. Has Xi Jinping been sidelined? And if so, who's really running China now? Sources close to party insiders told me Xi Jinping began losing power as early as April last year. According to my sources, former Premier Wen Jiabao and the Central Military Vice Chairman Zhang Youxia are now the ones in control. Xi Jinping appears to still hold power in public, but his grip on real authority may be gone. Sources claim that Wen Jiabao and Zhang Youxia have become the key forces shaping China's current political direction. Insiders say Xi's decline began as early as April 2023, though he attempted to fight back several times, even reportedly involving armed force. Each attempt failed. Now, he is merely cooperating with the current power structure, going through the motions, even including state visits like the one to Russia. Senior leadership reportedly has no clear roadmap for what comes next. In a May 27th article, former Chinese Central Commission for Discipline Inspection official Wang Youqun wrote that Xi's hospitalization in July last year triggered a significant shift in the upper ranks of the party. Since then, rumors of his loss of power have only intensified. Some reports claim that Xi's aggressive purges alienated nearly every political faction within the CCP. That, along with worsening economic, social, and diplomatic crisis, prompt senior officials and military figures to unite with Zhang Youxia to weaken Xi Jinping's influence, especially his control over the military. The argument is that losing control of the military means losing control of the party, and losing the party means losing the right to direct China's domestic and foreign policy. Xi Jinping, the so-called core of the CCP, is now, in the words of insiders, politically isolated. One source describes him as an actor following the script. Since taking power in 2012, Xi Jinping has sought to preserve party control and consolidate his own. But in 2017, he reportedly made compromises with Jiang Zemin's faction before the 19th Party Congress, a move that shifted China's policies sharply to the left and some argue into chaos. Over Xi Jinping's tenure, many major policy mistakes in both foreign and domestic arenas have led to widespread dissatisfaction. As the economy continues to deteriorate and party unity breaks down, even many of Xi's hand-picked allies in the party, military, and the government have fallen. Xi's handling of the COVID-19 pandemic, particularly the 3-year zero-COVID lockdown policy, devastated China's economy and sparked the White Paper revolution. Citizens took the streets chanting slogans like "Down with the CCP" and "Down with Xi Jinping." Since December 2024, open letters calling for Xi's resignation have gone viral online. Signs of his decline are mounting. On April 2, 2025, Politburo member and United Front chief Shi Taifeng was reassigned to the organization department. Meanwhile, Li Ganjie, seen as one of Xi's closest loyalists, was moved into Shi Taifeng's former position. This reshuffling signals a likely loss of personnel authority, once a key pillar of Xi's power. On April 14th, Japanese-Chinese commentator Shi Ping noted that the April 1st edition of People's Daily, reporting on the Politburo meeting, used the term Party Central Committee 5 times. But the usual phrase, the Party Central Committee with Comrade Xi Jinping at the core, was conspicuously absent. Shi Ping wrote that This may signal the start of decoreification, an effort to reduce Xi from supreme leader to just another committee member. On April 15th, a 27-year-old man named Michelin from Sichuan province hung 3 massive anti-CCP banners on a highway overpass in Chengdu. The messages included, "Without political reform, there is no national revival. The people do not need an unchecked ruling party. China doesn't need someone to point the way. Democracy is the way." And on April 21st and 23rd, Ho Ching, the wife of Singapore's former Prime Minister Lee Hsien Loong, shared 2 anti-Xi opinion pieces on Facebook, a rare move. In one, she posted a photo of Xi masked and sitting alone, looking somber. Observers took this as further confirmation of Xi Jinping's possible downfall. Some sources go further, saying Xi is now haunted by ancient prophecies, visions of coups, assassinations, and rulers dying in office. They say Xi fears these prophecies may apply to him, and that fear may explain much of what we are seeing. So, is Xi Jinping still China's top decision maker, or is he merely performing as others steers the course behind the curtain? What do you think? Drop your thoughts in the comments, and don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. This is China Decoded. I'm Aric Chen. See you in the next one. Something just happened in China's political world, and it's sending shockwaves across the top ranks. The Chinese Communist Party's Youth League faction, long thought to be sidelined, is suddenly making a powerful comeback. This is China Decoded, where we break down how the Chinese Communist Party operates and what that means for the world. I'm Aric Chen. Let's decode it together. Official state media is now quoting Hu Jintao's old directives. That's not normal. And when the system starts digging up retired leaders, it usually means something big is about to break. On May 19th, the Chinese state outlet People's Daily and Xinhua ran a front-page article quoting Hu Jintao's past statement. He said, "We must uphold scientific, democratic, and law-based decision-making." At first glance, it might sound like bureaucratic failure, but in my opinion, this is a political signal, loud and clear. Why? Because Hu Jintao has been out of power for over a decade. And now, suddenly, his name and legacy are being revived at a time when Xi Jinping is under heavy fire, both from inside and outside the party. Adding fuel to the speculation, Hu's protege, Shen Yueyue, broke precedent by giving a keynote at the Silk Road Expo. That event has been historically reserved for vice premiers. Shen is only a vice chair of the CPPCC, or Chinese People's Political Consultative Conference, and her sudden spotlight suggests the League faction is testing its strengths again. So, what's really going on? I believe this is more than a coincidence. In fact, Hu Jintao is quietly taking the helm from behind the scenes. Why now? I think there are 3 major policy disasters under Xi Jinping's leadership. Number 1, the crackdown on Hong Kong's autonomy. Number 2, harsh religious control and the erosion of the spiritual freedom. And number 3, the cover-up of the COVID pandemic, causing millions of deaths worldwide, and the disastrous zero-COVID lockdowns that crippled China's economy. A recent closed-door Politburo meeting reportedly turned into a showdown. Hu Jintao is said to have shown up in person and given a speech. He even allegedly said, "We will fight a civil war if we have to." At the same time, Chinese diplomacy is flipping 180 degrees. For the first time, China's ambassador to Israel condemned Hamas by name for its October 7th attack.
The atrocities committed by Hamas are inhumane, unforgivable, and also outrageous. So China oppose and condemn what Hamas did on 7th of October. So this is very clear.
That's a huge shift from Beijing's previous silence. Analysts say there's no way Xi Jinping would have allowed that. This likely signals that Jintao and Wen Jiabao are steering the foreign policy ship now. And here's why it matters. With the Middle East warming to US-led trade deals, China risks being completely left out. One commentator bluntly said, if the CCP doesn't change course, it's finished. What's next? The big question. So where's all this heading? Rumors suggest the upcoming fourth plenum of the Central Committee will become a personnel meeting. That means Xi Jinping's power could be formally reduced or even stripped. The new lineup for top leadership is already being discussed. Word is 1/3 of the Central Committee could soon be League faction members, and the Politburo Standing Committee might see a full reshuffle. If Jintao is really pulling the strings again, and the reformist Wen is making its comeback, China could be heading into its biggest power shift since the fall of the Gang of Four. Will Xi Jinping bow out quietly, or will there be a clash behind closed doors? Independent political commentator Cai Shengkun recently revealed that, according to a friend of his, Xi Jinping no longer holds real power. The reins of the Chinese Communist Party, he says, have been handed over, at least temporarily, to 3 elder statesmen, all born in 1942. Cai Shengkun claims military power is now in the hands of Zhang Youxia, while Xi's role as chairman of the Central Military Commission is purely symbolic. In his words, Xi's resignation is just waiting for the official announcement, most likely at the 4th plenum and no later than next year. Later, Cai Shengkun named the 3 transition figures, Jintao, Wen Jiabao, and Hu Deping. Looking at all the clear signals over the past month, it strongly points to Jintao and Wen Jiabao being back in charge behind the scenes. If they weren't, there's no way we'd be seeing such high-profile activity from the Communist Youth League faction or the reappearance of Wen-era policy language in state media. We will be watching. Make sure you are too. Subscribe and stay tuned as China's political drama enters its next chapter. This is China Decoded with Aric Chen. See you in the next one. Hi, I'm Aric Chen, a senior news anchor, chief editor of Global News and Newsweek, and a mentor to an international policy think tank. With over 18 years in journalism, I have followed China's political system, leadership transitions, and its evolving role in global affairs. On this channel, I share clear, independent analysis of how power works in China and why it matters globally. Today, we explore 2 major stories from Asia, a power struggle in Beijing and China's hidden hand in the India-Pakistan conflict. Let's get started. Tensions are rising in Zhongnanhai, the heart of China's political leadership. Zhao Leji, China's number 3 official and head of the National People's Congress, has been missing from several key political meetings this year. Back in March, he was absent from the closing sessions of the National People's Congress. The official explanation? A respiratory infection. But the very next day, state media suddenly showed him back in public, raising more questions than answers. Independent commentator Cai Shengkun and overseas media sources are reporting that Zhao might be under pressure to step down. Some even claim his family is under investigation, a sign that political infighting in China may be spilling into the open. Zhao Leji was once considered a loyal ally to Xi Jinping, helping to purge Xi's rivals during his time as the head of the anti-corruption agency. But now, it seems even his own allies are being taken out. And it's not just rumors. One of Zhao's close associates, former Qinghai governor Luo Yulin, reportedly died suddenly in prison. Reports say that after his fall, over 100 people were questioned by China's internal watchdog. Is this a sign of a broader purge? And what does it say about the stability of Xi Jinping's leadership? Aric Chen, a former Chinese Navy lieutenant colonel, believes that Xi Jinping has essentially lost control over the military. Although Xi still holds the title of chairman of the Central Military Commission, his trusted allies in the military have mostly been purged. As a result, he has military power in name but no real influence. Over the past 13 years, Xi used selective anti-corruption campaigns to eliminate those loyal to his predecessors, especially in the army. He appointed loyalists and punished those who disagreed with him, which led to deep resentment within the military. Xi's military reforms were poorly executed, revealing his lack of experience and capability in military affairs. His top-down leadership style turned the army into a tool for his personal control rather than for the Communist Party. In the party and government, Xi Jinping faces similar issues. Under his leadership, China has created enemies around the world, and the economy is in serious trouble. The so-called achievements of 40 years of reform and opening up have been largely wasted. Even his trusted officials are gradually being removed from key positions. Looking ahead to the upcoming fourth plenary session of the 20th Party's Congress, there is speculation that Xi may step down from his role as General Secretary and Military Chief, while retaining the more symbolic title of State President. This would allow him to exit gracefully without triggering major instability. However, Yao believes Xi will be unwilling to step down voluntarily. As the top party leader, he still holds significant authority. Unless he's forced out, he may try to stay in power until the 21st Party Congress in 2027. One possible strategy for Xi to hold on to power is to start a war, especially over Taiwan. If war breaks out, China could enter a state of military rule, which would cancel key party meetings and help Xi regain military control. If he were to successfully take Taiwan, even if he is eventually stepped down at the 21st Congress, he could still retain enough influence and prestige to protect himself and secure his personal safety. While Beijing is dealing with internal power games, China is also quietly positioning itself in a high-stakes conflict between two of its neighbors, India and Pakistan. Recent air clashes between India and Pakistan have triggered global concern. But behind the scenes, China appears to be using this conflict to serve its own strategic goals. According to the Stockholm International Peace Research Institute, 81% of Pakistan's weapons now come from China. This includes advanced J-10C fighter jets, missile systems, and air defense radars. Pakistan recently claimed it used Chinese jets to shoot down multiple Indian aircraft, including French-made Rafales. While India hasn't confirmed these losses, it's clear that Chinese weapons are central to Pakistan's military push. Experts say Pakistan, with a weaker economy and smaller military budgets, is only able to match India's power because of strong backing from Beijing. This conflict gives China more than just arms sales. It offers a chance to test its military gear in real combat. Reports say China is watching closely with satellites, spy ships, and even fishing boats deployed in the Indian Ocean. With over 150 military reconnaissance satellites in orbit, China is using this as a live intelligence gathering mission, collecting data on India's missile deployments, flight patterns, and command structure. Meanwhile, India has shifted away from Russia arms and is now buying more from US, France, and Israel. In contrast, Pakistan is almost entirely reliant on Chinese equipment. So while China isn't officially part of the conflict, it's quietly expanding its influence in South Asia, one weapon shipment and satellite feed at a time. So what does all of this mean? In Beijing, a high-level shakeup may be happening as power becomes more centralized under Xi Jinping. Meanwhile, in South Asia, China is taking advantage of regional tensions to gather intelligence and test its growing military power. Two very different stories, but they point to one thing. China is playing a long game at home and abroad. Okay, if you found this breakdown useful, make sure to like, subscribe, and hit the bell so you don't miss future updates. Let me know in the comments, do you think geology is really being purged? And do you think Xi Jinping is going to step down? And how far will China go in South Asia? Thanks for watching and see you in the next one.